From tender chicken breasts to sizzling steaks, there's a mouthwatering menu of meats to savor. But when it comes to what's best for our health and the environment, what's the best option? Let's start with the global impact before wading into our health. Did you know that cows, sheep, and goats belch out methane as they digest their food? And that matters a lot because methane has a much bigger impact on climate than compared to, say, carbon dioxide. But the effects of raising animals for meat consumption aren't just about, well, burps. For example, raising cows requires a tremendous amount of land, water, food, and energy, while also leading to deforestation, erosion, and other changes that compound significant environmental problems.
Ew.
Just consider red meat, like beef, lamb, veal, and pork. And you heard that right, pork actually is a red meat because the designation has to do with the meat's amount of myoglobin, which is a protein that holds the oxygen in the muscle.
Wow.
Red meat is responsible for up to 30% of total agricultural emissions, in part because it takes so many resources to grow the grains that feed the livestock. And that's part of the reason that the agricultural sector is the world's second largest greenhouse gas emitter after energy. Taking all of this and a lot of uncertainty into account, what's the best meat to choose for the environment? When it comes to the environmental impact of meat production, beef takes the unfortunate title of the heavyweight champion of emissions. Those cows produce a lot of methane. Now, don't get me wrong, their impact can vary depending on factors like farming practices and land use change. But if we're talking about minimizing our carbon footprint, beef isn't exactly winning any medals. But thankfully, other options abound, like chicken, ducks, and even rabbits have a much lower greenhouse gas footprint, or what many folks in energy now call a food print. Where the meat comes from and how it's produced has a huge impact on the environment. But in general, poultry is a good contender. Okay, but what kind of meat is best for our bodies? That gets complicated. Health professionals like doctors and medical scientists don't always agree on the best advice, but there are some general guidelines to follow. In recent years, lots of doctors have been recommending eating less than half an ounce of red meat per day. That's a lot less than many Americans currently consume. We tend to eat, on average, about 2 to 3 ounces of red meat per day and are among the highest per capita consumers of total meat on the planet. That adds up to about 149 pounds per person per year. Meanwhile, Americans suffer from high rates of cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, and certain forms of cancer. Red meat has been linked to these diseases, especially when processed. But it's important to add that the science on the health impacts of red meat isn't exactly clear and continues to be hotly debated. There are a lot of compounding factors that affect our bodies, involving exercise, lifestyle, our habits, even how much money we make. Now, what matters when it comes to the best meat for your body? When choosing meat on the menu, lean cuts are a good option because they deliver flavor without packing on added fat, and that gives you more protein per pound. For poultry lovers, that might be skinless chicken breasts or thighs or even ground turkey. If you love pork, a tenderloin might be a great option. That also goes for beef, with filet mignon or sirloin as a leaner cut than others. And if you're hungry for burgers, look for 93% lean ground beef, although my mother would say that's much too lean. Now let's get to my family favorite brisket. This recipe is a perfect example of enjoying meat in moderation while savoring every bite. So first I started by searing both sides of the brisket, 10 minutes on one side, flip it 10 minutes on the other. That just gives it a little crispy edge. From there, it's in the slow cooker. So I like to throw in some carrots, some small potatoes. You can even put some onion in there, and whatever spices you like. All right, with that, let's just pop the lid on. And then, let's get it going. Ooh, that's gonna be a nice one. Potatoes are gonna be good. Excited about those. Now, I don't eat a lot of meat, but this recipe is a great example of enjoying meat in moderation while savoring every bite. It's a lot to chew. Back to the big question, what's the best meat for our planet and our health? lean cuts of small meat, lean cuts of small animals sounds so violent. We want to be like, go with the cute little ones. Lean cuts of protein coming from small animals like poultry or rabbits are probably the best bet. Whatever you choose, remember, moderation is key. So heat up that grill, sizzle your steaks, and remember that our food choices make a difference for a healthier lifestyle and planet. So what's your favorite source of protein? Tell us in the comments below. Don't know what to do with my hands. Because I go like this, but that seems like cheesy and like I'm an old person. Because the kids don't do that. Hey everyone, cooking season never ends. In 2025, we've got some Serving Up Science aprons available, just like the one I'm wearing. Check them out in the link below.